The illicit fuel trade in Benin, a country bordering Nigeria, has soared since 1980, when the country faced a socio-economic and political crisis that saw unprecedented levels of unemployment, with few opportunities for the youth. The situation isn't much better today. Added to poverty and underdevelopment in the formal sector, Benin has few official petrol stations to meet citizens' needs. In 2016, the country of approximately 11 million people had only 350 petrol stations, most of which were in urban centers. Benin does not have enough petrol stations to cover its population, but it also cannot compete with Nigerian petrol prices. From this situation, there has emerged a lucrative business opportunity. The African Development Bank estimates nearly 80% of all fuel consumed in Benin is contraband. A few decades ago, Beninese traffickers started to buy petrol in Nigeria, where it is much cheaper because Nigeria is the leading producer of petrol in Africa and a country where government subsidies make fuel cheaper and accessible to illegal traders. After illegally bringing it to Benin, they began to sell it in roadside stalls around the country at a lower price than can be found in the licensed petrol stations. The official petrol stations are property of the state, and their selling prices are often double the price offered by the little trafficker down the road. So, business has boomed. Over the last few decades, the trafficking bosses have obtained a lot of power in Benin. Politicians have surrendered to them, and the police turn a blind eye in exchange for a few CFA, the Beninese currency. Many women, people with disabilities, university students, and even children depend on this activity. Unfortunately, all of them are exposed to the harmful gases that petrol emits and to the danger of explosions that can be caused by small accidents that happen while transporting the petrol. These have caused hundreds of deaths in recent years. The streets of Porto Novo, the capital of Benin, are filled with traffickers who transport drums of petrol by motorbike. They are commonly known as human bombs because they have accidents so often in which the petrol they are transporting explodes. Roadside stalls can catch fire if a driver tries to fill up without turning off his engine. A single drop of petrol falling on a spark plug is enough. The petrol trafficking route begins in Nigeria, where Benin smugglers fill their tanks and jerry cans at Nigerian service stations and black market. There are thousands of routes along the almost 800-kilometer-long border that the traffickers use to take the petrol to Benin. The fuel is also carried via Lake Noko and the small rivers connecting Nigeria with Benin, as well as clandestine sea routes in the Gulf of Guinea. Their trips may involve crossing police checkpoints, but they are rarely stopped, not less arrested. The authorities give them free rein in exchange for small bribes, an amount usually settled on in advance with the big bosses of the illegal trade. The smugglers distribute the petrol to their respective bosses' customers across the country. It is a very well-organized business and is governed by the Association of Importers, Transporters and Retailers of Oil Products, AITRPP, an officially registered body, despite its illegal dealings. The streets and roads of Benin are lined with petrol stalls. Everyone in the country has a friend or relative involved in some part of this illegal trade and whose family directly depends on the income derived from it. The people involved don't consider it smuggling. It's everyday life, business as usual, done openly on the streets, not hidden. People say they are only trying to survive. They are conducting resourcefulness activities, which may be legally problematic but are socially acceptable. For young people, it offers a practical way of paying for their studies in a country with a high rate of unemployment, especially among the under-30s. The illicit fuel trade provides jobs to around 40,000 people, about as much as the size of the public sector in Benin. In Nigeria, oil bunkering, stealing oil and selling it on the black market, contributes to the illicit fuel trade, as Beninese dealers buy it on the black market. Even closing the border between the two countries between 2019 and 2021 didn't affect the networks. Many unofficial and poorly monitored entry points from Nigeria to Benin remained active. In 2018, Benin government passed a new law, banned the illicit fuel trade and related activities, including sales outside the official trading and distribution network. Police have made some arrests since the new legislation was passed, but not many. Security forces were instructed to stop traders from displaying and selling fuel on public and secondary roads. Since 2017, private groups such as Jehovah Nissi Petroleum, Oryx Energies, and Benin Petrol have helped establish and expand official petrol stations in major cities. These entities are trying to fill the gap in the official distribution network. The emergence of private entities meant that many urban users were again using official petrol stations. These alternatives, combined with better law enforcement, could eventually force informal dealers to join formal fuel distribution structures. However, it is believed the illegal trade still held a substantial part of the market and didn't feel their activities were threatened. The legislation and deployment of security forces since 2018 have provided only short-term relief. Illicit fuel traders were removed from public roads, but the operation lasted less than a year and some returned. The government measures have also caused violent reactions from traders, and traffickers have adapted by changing their routes and methods. Many dealers no longer operate on main and public roads and instead use rural or border areas to continue to service urban dwellers. Since 2017, violent clashes between security forces and traffickers have forced government officials to backtrack or downplay the problem. They fear more generalized violence and, in the case of politicians, a loss of voter support. Corruption is also a factor, as illicit fuel traders offer bribes to customs officers to secure free passage. In total, it is a business that generates billions of CFA every year, none of which reaches the state coffers, as no taxes are paid on it. The government is caught between a rock and a hard place. Any attempt to halt the activity would face fierce public opposition, both from those who are part of the network and the customers who have become accustomed to more affordable prices, as well as depriving the whole country of its main supply of fuel. Thus, in today's moment, both the people and the stability of Benin are completely dependent on an activity which remains strictly off the books.